Hi, this is Federico, and in this video, I'm going to answer a question that was submitted to us about adding custom shapes to this cake topper template in Cuttle. Somebody wanted to add a mermaid, which I think is a really cool idea, so I'm going to try and answer the question the best I can. So just for context, with this template, what you can do is generate a cake topper that gets cut out of two different materials with contrasting colors. And you can type any text that you want and change other settings, so for example, my name. And then here you get a preview of what it looks like. But then when you get to cut it, you should download this version, the layer cut file. So you can cut, say, the letters in this case out of a material, and then you get the backer or the shadow part out of a different material with some score lines that are going to help you place those letters on top of it. And this page will have some really nice instructions on how to do that. So onto making changes. Because we're going to be making changes to this existing template, I'm going to use the button that's at the top of the page that says Edit in Cuttle, so I can make the edits in the Cuttle editor. So I'm going to hit that button, and here I get a view of the Cuttle editor, and then a prompt appears at the bottom that says Copy this project. So you need to make a copy to save your changes, and that copy is going to be in your private folder, because that's going to be your own. So I'm going to do that. To make those changes, I'm going to press the blue button, and now I have a copy that gets saved to my folder. So let's talk about the two different cases I see for this change. So one version, you would add just a shape to the pink part in this case, just like the shadow or the backer, without any additional decorations. And then the second case, you would add something that has both a white part in front and then a shadow part in the back. So let's talk about the first case, just adding an additional shape to the shadow. So we're going to make that change. If you look here on the left, we'll see all the components, and we're going to make that change in the component called shadow part. This is just the section that has the big outline. And in order to add anything here, I simply need to add a shape. So because the case was a mermaid, I'm going to kind of quickly improvise a fin. I'm going to draw it as an example, but I'm sure you can do a much better fin than this one. I'm just gonna add a little curvature here to make it more fin-like. Anyway, that's my quick fin. And so if I add any shape here on this component, if I go back to the preview, you'll see that that fin gets just added to the back. And if I go look at the layer version, which is the cut file, it looks right. So I have the cut file on the back, and then I don't have any additional things. So that's the first case. You simply need to add any shape here on the shadow part component, and that gets added to the back. The second example is a bit more complex, so I'm going to delete the fin I made. And this change we would make on the name component. So when we add anything here, that gets added both to the letters, so the front material, and to the back. So I'm not going to do a mermaid, but I'm going to try a dolphin emoji. Close enough, I think. So I'm going to grab the dolphin. I'm going to make it a little bit bigger. And I think there are two cases here that I'm going to specify. So first, in order to make this work, these this element should have the same properties as these other ones, so we can cut it all out of the same material and the same settings. So I'm going to select that one and change it to have no fill and to have a stroke, a black stroke in this case. So if I simply do that, I'm placing it separately from the letters. If I go look at the preview, you'll see that that gets added with a shadow of its own, and then I get the white section. So if I look at the cut component, you'll see that I get the shadow on the backer, and then I get the dolphin on the white part of the front. So kind of as simple as that. The second thing I'm going to say is that sometimes you might want to join it. So as you can see, the two P's are joined to the bottom, and that's very convenient for when you're gluing the components back on. You know, the bigger it is, the less work you have to do. So in that case, I'm going to go back to the name. In that case, if these are say touching, so I want to make the dolphin touch the P right here, If I leave it as is, let's go look at the cut, then the dolphin is just going to cut into the P, and I want to join it. So I'm going to go back to the name. And in that case, I simply need to select everything and apply the modifier called Boolean union or weld to join all those shapes together. So now if I look at my cut, you'll see that it's joined together. So that's going to make it convenient for me to glue it, and it's also going to make the P not have a little cutout. So I hope this answers your question. I'm sure you're going to make a really cool mermaid. Thank you for watching, and thank you for submitting your questions.